In 1998, a study was conducted by Carol Dweck and Claudia Mueller to learn about the positive and negative consequences of different types of praise for a child's personal motivation and success. The experiment went as follows. With the study on 5th graders, each of the students were individually taken aside to solve some problems on a test for 4 minutes, after which they would stop. All students were told that they had done well. Some students, however, were specifically praised for their ability, saying, "Wow, you must be smart at these problems." Other students were praised for their effort, saying, "Wow, you must have worked hard at these problems." Next, the researchers gave the students a new test which had harder problems, and the researcher would tell the students that they'd done poorly. They were then asked whether or not they'd like to take the harder questions home to practice. The students that were praised for their effort were more likely to take the harder problems home than those praised for their ability. Then, a third test was given to the kids, and those that were praised for their effort got more questions right than those praised for their abilities. Lastly, all of the students were given a choice to either read about how to do better on the test or to see their peers' test scores. Those that were praised for their efforts were more likely to pick the reading, and those that were praised for their abilities were likely to compare their test scores to their peers. I believe it's clear that the general takeaway from the study is that praise for one's efforts as opposed to abilities leads to a greater improvement in future challenges. If you're wondering why I'm talking about an experiment instead of ReZero, it's because this study directly relates to the entirety of Subaru's character arc from Season 1 up to this point. The latest episode as of the making of this video, Season 2, Episode 4, contextualizes everything we've seen about who Subaru is as a person and why he's acted the way he has. He's someone who, from the start of Season 1 up to Episode 18, believed because he was special, because he was bestowed with gifts others didn't have, that the world would work the way he wanted it to. This is a brief overview of Subaru's character arc. In Episode 4, during a trial, Subaru is forced to confront his past. When he was much younger, Subaru was naturally gifted at everything. He thrived in sports, his grades were the top of his class, and he had a lively group of friends. As he flourished, he heard over and over again how much he was like his father, a shining figure of society and energy. As he got older, it wasn't long before Subaru realized his talents only took him so far. He wasn't the fastest, and he wasn't the smartest anymore, so he had to compensate for it. Be more energetic, be more brazen, be more bombastic. And in trying to stand out so much, he was left standing by himself. He grew more recluse, stayed inside longer, frustrated, and before long, stopped going to school. His isolation sunk him deeper into a depressive, lifeless state. He wasn't special anymore. He wasn't even like his father. He wasn't anyone. Subaru continued to sink lower into isolation. That is, until he was taken into another world. He was the odd one out in a fantasy world, and he had this power to return from death before a certain point in time. These two things were proof to him, clear evidence Subaru was someone special. He was the main character of this world, and so he acted like he was different. He got into fights he couldn't win, he pretended to be more important than he was. He challenged people he couldn't beat. He kicked and thrashed to defeat overwhelming forces, and this destroyed him over and over again. Subaru burdened himself with the knowledge of the coming dangers and believed it was his duty to right these wrongs for the best future. He believed that he alone could shoulder the weight of the world, and it crushed him. People in this world are backstabbers, distrustful, emotional, vengeful, powerful, conniving, prideful, and the list goes on. Subaru didn't stand a chance against this reality. It was Amelia that recognized how much of a tough front that Subaru put on, how scared and exhausted and frustrated from his failures he was, even when he was doing his best. It was Rem that saw how much Subaru was suffering by himself, against a world he couldn't adapt to. She showed him he wasn't alone, and needn't burden himself with an impossible load. There was nothing to be embarrassed or ashamed of in that fact. I think what it means to return to zero, or to restart from nothing, is this. It means to set aside one's pride, to recognize one's weaknesses, to surround oneself with loved ones, and to move forward with the belief that one is not bestowed with superior gifts, but enchanted with the drive to learn from their mistakes and grow as an individual. Gifts and abilities are simply a baseline. They are not indicators of growth or specialty, but are a starting point. And if too heavily relied on, does it leave someone self-pitying and spiteful when it stops working? It's when these gifts are cared for with love and grown with through humility that the true potential of a person can blossom. That's the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. I think, to me, this is a very emotional and personal script to write. I don't know how the rest of Season 2 is going to play out, and I haven't read the light novel or anything, but I hope it turns out really well. Yeah. Let me know what you think about the video in the comments below. I read pretty much everything down there, and shout out to all 32 of my subscribers. I hope I can keep making worthwhile content. Shout out to Peter, or Matzi, whatever he wants to go by. I really appreciate our talks, and you also have great music tastes, so yeah, keep sending them. Alright, that's all I've got for today. I hope you guys have a fantastic one. This is Khang, signing out. See you guys. Have a good one. Bye.